Hello, Internet. Welcome to Hill Showcase. I'm the Watcher of New Earth. If you've been here before, welcome back. If this is your first time, just hang on. I swear it gets better. We continue our journey through DC Comics' New 52 reboot, as today we look at Supergirl, a character almost defined by constant reboots and reimaginings. I won't get into the minutiae of every different version of the Supergirl, partially because it's fairly complex, and partially because most of it is irrelevant to this video. The crash course for this version, Kara Zor-El, is that she is Superman's cousin and another survivor of the destruction of the planet of Krypton. The difference being that while Superman arrived as an infant, she arrived as a teen. Or young adult, it's not always 100% clear. Her first appearance was in Action Comics number 252 all the way back in 1959, where she quickly became a popular addition to the Superman mythos. She remained a staple of the Superman family until 1985 and DC's first company-wide reboot. It was thought that in this new iteration, Superman's history should be less complex and he should be more unique by being Krypton's only survivor. Thus, Kara died in the Crisis on Infinite Earths event and was retconned out of existence. This was undone in 2004 when Kara Zor-El was reintroduced into the new universe with an origin that was more or less the same. This version remained for the next 7 years until DC rebooted their universe again, and that is where we're picking up today. Did I lose you? No? Okay, cool. And if you knew all of that, just hang on. I swear it gets better. The story is co-written by Michael Green and Mike Johnson and focuses on Supergirl's arrival on Earth and her coming to terms with the destruction of Krypton. That's the core of it, but there are a couple side stories and adventures that help flesh it out more and keep it from being really bare bones. Not all the detours are super interesting, but hey, we'll get to it.
The art is done by Mahmoud Asrar, a comic book artist who's worked for 3 major comic companies in the US and has done several more internationally. I feel the art is the highlight of the book. Even in parts where the story is lacking, the illustrations maintain their beautiful flow and power. The action scenes, which longtime viewers will know that I can take or leave, are some of the best I've ever seen. Asrar wonderfully portrays the power of Superman being wielded by a child who's wildly out of her depth. Kara's fear and confusion comes out in every bout, and you can even see her develop and strategize by the end of the book. It's an evolution that can be seen almost entirely through the art, and is something I don't see very often. I think it's some truly great work. Moreover, it's not just the action scenes. Asrar is also able to do emotional beats as well. The expressions through the whole book are great, even minor characters get to be expressive and feel real, but the scene that stands out most to me is at the start of the 3rd issue. After she meets Superman, they both have a conversation about what actually happened to Krypton, because Kara has no memory of how she arrived, and it's just this quiet moment where she realizes that not only is her home gone, she's never seeing her friends or family again. It's just a terrific sequence that I think is rarely explored between these two, and it might be my favorite part of the comic. Anywho, enough with me gushing about this comic. If I wanted to do nothing but praise a book, I wouldn't be looking at the New 52. As I said, there are several side stories and detours in the book that keep it from being only 5 issues long. The one that feels most like padding concerns Kara tracking down the pod she arrived in, which has been stolen by some rich jerk and is being studied on the satellite. Kara arrives and is quickly captured after being weakened by kryptonite. She is then tested and tortured until one employee frees her, allowing her to escape and blow up the satellite. And if you're asking yourself how that helps the narrative of Kara coming to terms with the past and restarting her future, well, it does it? It feels purely like an excuse to have more action beats and setting up plot points for future stories. It's not poorly written or anything, it's just annoying that we leave the actually interesting story for this nothing sandwich. The only thing that happens of note is that she steals back a crystal her father left her in her pod that she hopes could hold answers for her. Could have just been in the pod, right? Regardless, that leads her to flying out into space and finding the remnants of Argo City, her home on Krypton. There she uncovers the message from her father, who explains everything again and is revealed to have been murdered. Again, one would assume this is just setting up future stories. It's there that she meets Rain, a biological weapon initially created by Kryptonian scientists as a world killer. Like Kara, she also has little memory of anything that happened to her and is seeking answers. This sets up a pretty good foil for Kara, someone abandoned in the void of space who is looking for a path to her future. The difference being that Rain is pre-programmed for destruction and has her eyes set on Earth. This leads to a final confrontation where Kara manages to fight back Rain and the other world killers, who are all varying levels of bland. The back half definitely helps the narrative more, and by the end the reader feels like Kara is on the path to acceptance of her new fate. A bittersweet ending, but one that feels in line with the hopeful nature of Superman comics prior. Overall, I quite enjoyed this comic. It makes a great introduction to a character that is generally viewed as a gender-swapped knockoff of the original, and gives her a unique voice and characterization. I think it does a good job of portraying a teenager whose life has been upended, and the maturing that one would have to go through in the face of such trauma. I'm also surprised to be saying this, but I like how sparingly Superman is used. With such an iconic character around, you really run the risk of this just becoming another one of his stories. Sidebar, it's also a nice touch that Kara's pod initially lands in Kansas, where Superman's originally did, except hers tears through the Earth and ends up in Siberia. I'm not sure actual science supports that, but I think it's a sweet touch that they were initially supposed to land close together, as a family. The series stumbles a bit and feels kinda padded in parts, but I still think it's solid and a great starting point for readers who are interested in this character. And hey, if you like things that stumble a bit and are great introductions to character, how about subscribing to this channel? It's pretty much just that. Or if you just liked this video, give it a like. And if you didn't enjoy this video at all, do the things that I said before and then just go to another one. Just hang on. I swear, it gets better.